What is up, guys, and welcome to a new episode of the Plantsitting podcast.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day. Yeah, it's your favorite host, Yannic, and your lovely.
Andi.
And today's topic will be presented, of course, always like before with Andi or by Andi. And I don't know any of the topics, so we're gonna just dive in spontaneously and real.
Yes. So today's topic, I think, will interest everyone. And it really interests me and you, I hope.
Does it have to do something with Valentine's Day?
No, unfortunately not.
Okay.
Unless you want to discuss something about Valentine's Day. Okay. The question for today is life as an adult duller?
Dull? Okay, like gray, boring.
Yeah. Is it that life only as a child, the epitome of a human life, and then as we get older, it just gets duller, grayer, more difficult? And is that just the destiny of every human?
I think a good start to this topic is to analyze first what means dull, like what does it mean in a person, and then look at the influences, what influences these perceptions, these feelings. And I'll just start, like if I feel dull, it is something that just, if we refer back to our last podcast episode, drains my energy. If I feel what I'm doing right now is adding up to my energy, I really feel it's something meaningful or lively, or it has a part of it. Yeah, it's different components as everything in life. So is it giving me energy? Part one. Then or not just what, but am I feeling emotions? If I'm feeling no emotions, then it really needs to be divided into certain other categories. Like I make an example. When I watch a movie, the more emotions I feel, the better. Like an anime, when I cry and I'm like, I'm feeling the power and everything, then I'm really thinking, oh, this is a good show. Whereas when I'm just zapping through it and it's just, I would feel very dull. Yeah. So how intensively I'm feeling emotions. And third component also, of course, is it giving me realizations? That's personally for me. Like, for example, if I listen to a podcast, I may, my energy levels may be stable. For example, I love listening to Ram Dass. My energy doesn't increase greatly by it. I'm not feeling many emotions, but I'm having these aha moments like, like questions that I have asked myself, or situations I can see. I have just this feeling of freedom and clarity. I get more. Yeah, I just have more.
I would say for me, dull means it's lost its spark, the passion that I used to feel. For example, as a child, I would love rolling on the grass. Like very simple, very, like now if I think about it as an adult, to go outside, roll in grass, I think about, okay, the grass is itchy. What is this? This is stupid. Like it just doesn't have that spark that it had as a child. And this was just one example. But now if we take into account a lot of things, as a child, it felt so magical, so beautiful, like so much, just different. If now I do it as an adult, it just doesn't feel the same. And that's to me what I feel is life is duller as an adult.
There comes two things directly in my mind when I hear yours, like the level of expectations, how things gonna be, and the level of shame one feels for doing it. And those are probably things that are increasing by the aging process. As like a 3-year-old, you have very little expectations of what is gonna happen when you touch that table. You do this, you do that. And also very little shame. But with time, with people telling you how things are, with yourself assuming how things are, it begins to get grayer. And I think those two are actually components that can be really addressed as an adult, and it can be reversed. So let's just look at the expectation process. I think for me, the first time I I realized that expectations are not the best thing was always back then when I was going to raves. Always when we were talking about, oh, it's this DJ, the party's gonna be like that, and it's so awesome, and who's coming with us. And the more we talked about the rave before it actually happened, the more the less fun we had. Like it's always fun, but it was nothing special. And always when it was super spontaneously, when the expectations were pretty low because it was just a small thing, or yeah, these two scenarios come to my head. It was always just magical. Yeah, and I can say that thinking beforehand what is gonna happen is first it's taking you out of the present moment, which can be enjoyed also always. It's just the level of, I would say, consciousness, how much you can enjoy every present moment. And you're taking even away from the other moment you're already thinking about. So it's like double, you're hurting yourself double, cutting the knife not just once, but 2 times in their own flesh. And I think that's important that one has this heard at least once in the life to maybe be conscious of it, think about it when one does it.
So then, why, like, how do we reverse it? It's easy to say, okay, don't have expectations, but what else can we do as an adult to get back that magic that we felt as a child?
Yeah, so we had the expectations, which I would say it's not finished yet. Like, what can we do? Not like just being conscious. Okay, don't think. Nice advice, bro.
Thank you.
But the steps one can actually take is just practice it. There's an app. It's called Headspace app. It is for me, at least, I would say. And when I'm like helping people, it's the first thing I advise them. Just get this app. It tells you for 10 minutes every day just exactly what you do. So you just put the phone down, press the button. A voice tells you some stuff, some wisdom for the day. And then it's just saying, okay, breathe this much in and then do this. And this is just because meditation, when I heard it first, it was a term so far away, yogis and everything. And
Meditation? Ugh.
yeah, to just get into it, it's a big, yeah, obstacle. And this app really helped me to dive into it. Yeah. And so practicing the process of not thinking is the first essential component, but not the only one. I would say thoughts are not just randomly popping up, and they are also not created, but thoughts are received. So depending on what things are right now important to me, I am receiving the thoughts. And also it plays different other roles, like on what frequency am I? Like, am I in a state of happiness right now or love? Or am I in a state of anger? The thoughts that are being received are way different. Everyone probably has experienced the difference. And so that's why it's important to not take just thoughts for granted, or just say, okay, they're all just useless. That's why it's for me important, but also to not get lost in them. So what helps is also just analyze and categorize the thoughts. So if I'm recognizing, oh wow, you've been in deep thoughts right now, or I got really identified and lost in my thoughts. I was just away. Then I just look, what did I think about? And then if it was something like, I need to be smarter, I need more wisdom, then I'm like, okay, how can I structure my day maybe tomorrow to fulfill that need? And I have discovered and realized that the more I go into these fields that are where I'm supposed to go, like if my thoughts are all about money, then maybe I'm supposed to go into informing myself about, yeah, or just do something that is contributing to other people, and therefore the energy will come back anyways. But to go into these areas where the thoughts arise, also it's a natural relief of thinking. And these two, I would say, are the components then to relieve the expectations.
But then is thoughts a bad thing? Because as a child, you don't have thoughts. You're just enjoying life. You don't think about tomorrow. You don't think about money. You don't think about your job or what you're gonna do. You're just in the moment. So are we supposed to like completely minimize our thoughts? Or like, is it really we're supposed to think about money and what to do and how to do it? Or do we should practice really going into stillness to go back to that childish feeling or that childhood feeling?
What do you think?
I don't know because it's really easy to say, yeah, we need to stop thinking and we need to go back to that, but then we still have our problems, you know? It's not that easy to just eliminate and say, okay, whatever. We still need food on the table.
Okay. I would say it's important also to look at what kind of thoughts is it. Jesus said, no single thing has been made better by worrying. So if I'm worrying about something, or also in Stoicism, Seneca said, we suffer more in imagination than in reality. If I'm just suffering in my thoughts, maybe not the most constructive thing. If I'm daydreaming or if I'm consciously thinking something through, I want to understand something to either tell it a person. If I, for example, I want to explain something here that has happened in my life, I need to a little bit think about it so I can fit it in a box and I can deliver that box to another person. But all that aside, like besides helping another person, I mean, there's these in the Chinese wisdom, they say if you or it's not an exact quote, but in general, the idea is if I'm thinking about something, I'm not doing something. So if I want to be more efficient, why am I not just doing something? So if you have now the urge to think about tell me what would be a thing that you think about, for example, that is bothering you.
Let's say, for example, oh my God, it's Monday tomorrow and there's a lot that I need to complete and I'm already starting to stress myself out, even though at the moment I can't do anything about it, but it's stressing me.
Okay, yeah. So the first thing is like this thought is not coming by accident. It's something important to you. So instead of thinking, what does this thought make you want to do? Oh, it wants to make me solve this. What would solve it? Okay, maybe just get a piece of paper and write down when will you do what you need to do, or just do it. Yeah. But action is the key to solving thoughts. And therefore, because like if I analyze most of my thoughts, they're definitely negative. So I must say, thinking in, I would say, 90 or 80% of the cases is not a good thing. Yeah, it is more as a distraction.
It is. It takes away from the present moment, which is what children have. They're always in the present. And we as adults rarely, well, we as in even myself, sometimes I find myself, my mind is drifting to something tomorrow or something in a few hours instead of being really present in the moment and enjoying the richness of this moment.
What comes to my mind sometimes is one could say, okay, but that's why children are dumb and I'm smart as an adult. I have discovered that not knowledge, what you can pass on to others, but wisdom. And I will explain it to you afterwards. So true wisdom has nothing to do with understanding in the mind or thinking about something or even talking about something. It is acquired just by doing and perceiving something. So if I'm just presently doing what I feel like doing nothing, it's called in the Chinese, in the Taoism, you do nothing, but you can't do nothing. So you're actually all the time doing something. So, but you don't think you're doing something, you're just doing it. So if I'm just doing nothing, then I'm perceiving it, what is happening by my doing. I'm gaining all the wisdom that I need. And as an adult, the wisdom one has is really acquired through that and not through studying a book or talking smart with another person. These things help, and it's all a process of doing. But it's the actual doing, yeah. So doing instead of thinking has acquired all the wisdom, and true wisdom is not what I think about. Like, am I now going to the toilet? I can think about it. I can rationalize. Okay, how much how full is my bladder, and how much what time would it take, and how efficient it would be to go now instead of later. But instead, I just look inside. Do I have the urge to go now? No? Okay, then I don't go. So this process is decided, like, and the likelihood how efficient this process is decided by wisdom and not knowledge. That's a very simple example, but it can be applied to even the most complex thing. Am I buying the new car? If I don't think about it, what comes into play is my wisdom. And this wisdom is acquired through just presently observing something. And yeah, so we have the thinking part, the expectations part. So to sum it up, two core things to do when one wants to reduce the expectations, or maybe two and a half. The half thing is just be conscious of it, that expectations reduce joy, perception, and just richness of the experience. Practice the non-thinking through meditation. A good start is the Headspace app, and when one goes further, rapé, own meditations that exceed 10 minutes. And yeah, maybe also in the beginning, side by side through the app, just activities that pull you into the present. It can be a good party. It can be a sports activity. Basically anything, a relationship, kissing, hugging. Yeah. And after the practice of the presence, and also the thoughts analysis. So am I actually doing what my mind wants me to do? Because if my mind is in constant, I'm fearful, and then it's activating all the time, it's a sign that maybe I should be doing something else, because the mind and the heart, they should be a team together, and not, you don't want to just deactivate the mind in most cases. If it's like some heavy trauma, and it's like constantly, then that's like a different thing. But as a normal person, you wanna just listen to the mind, not get trapped by it, but work accordingly. So just take then conscious action of what would the mind be pleased by.
Yeah. It's like a dance, they dance together. And it's usually the most charming people have their mind and heart aligned at the same time. Like, not one is taking over the other, not their head eating them and telling them, we have to do this, and not completely being in the heart, where you just completely ignore all common sense, irrationality, and just, leap off the mountain completely.
Before we dive into the second part of expectations, which is which was what was it? It will come to us. I wanted to dive into a certain spontaneous topic, which is charm. Yeah, you just mentioned it, and it's Valentine's Day. How would you define charm? What is charm, and how can it be acquired?
Oof. Wow. Okay. I would categorize a charming person as someone who just, when they speak, they don't ever make anyone feel bad, and they always make you feel good. Like, you're speaking to them and you're having the best conversation, and there's nothing, like no ego involved, nothing. And once the conversation's over, you want to see them again. You want to meet with them again. It's just good energy.
I would say so also. Yeah, it's people who just feel good. And there comes the turn also to what we just speak about right now. Because if we get out of the gray, we just feel better, and then we get also more charming. And the cool thing is, when you feel good, you don't have the need to pull other people down, consciously or subconsciously. And that is, I think, then we can make the turn into a very Valentine-y topic, which is charm. It can be the topic today can be also named how to be more charming. Yeah, we're just teaching how to be charming, and yeah.
Yeah.
So
Charming has nothing to do with looks. It's like on the inside, I think. It's
definitely,
the energy that's radiant. So it doesn't matter what you look like. Like, in my head, at least before, it used to be, oh, you can only be charming if you're born good looking. and that's it. Like all you needed to be was good looking, and then everything else just comes with it, you know? It's just easy.
I just made the yeah, I just saw it because right now I'm in the process. I can I didn't accept my feelings for a long time, and therefore I couldn't perceive so much energy. So I didn't feel like, what does this person feel like? What does this person feel like? And that one is increasing right now. And I discovered that so far all the people, their energy is very similar to what they look like.
Oh yeah.
So I would say how you look like is a resemblance also of your energy. And this energy, so basically what you just said, like a charming person, it's nothing on the outside or on the inside. It's in the inside. It can be even be both at the same time. So if you like, you're fixing the inside, you're just happy.
It radiates on the outside.
It radiates on the outside strongly. Yeah. So and now to make the turn, let's see if we can scratch it together.
Yeah.
So the topic was how to get out of the grayness from adulthood. And therefore it was expectations and shame. Yeah.
That's
Shame is, I think, a true killer of all, yeah, colorfulness.
That's true. How come as a child we feel no shame, even if people made fun of us? We didn't care. It was what we wanted to do. We just enjoyed it. We dived into it. We indulged it. But as an adult, suddenly we really care what other people think, and we find ourselves so like constricted. Oh my God, I can't just randomly jump or shout or dance or turn because what are people gonna say, you know? But as a child, you don't care. You just do it, and people look at it and find it so cute and enthralling. But if you see an adult doing it in the middle of the road, suddenly you're judging it. You're like, what's wrong with them?
True. Yeah. And I also, I don't feel shame in front of my cat. Like when I'm on the toilet for big matters, if Andi would stand right beside me, as much as I love her and I know I can be free when I'm with her, I feel still a little bit of like this uncomfortableness and shame. But when Lily, our cat, is around, then of course you know Lily, yeah, why am I even explaining? And when she's around, I don't feel any shame, and that's like a pointer towards that. This trauma that I hold, that I can't be myself in front of other persons, it is caused by persons. And when I just mentioned the word trauma, it is a word, if one is not well advised in shadow work, one has not much done, has not much looked into the own negative aspects,
Yeah.
which is the most important. But then trauma becomes just such a big word. It's like, oh, you have trauma. Are you mentally ill, or what traumatized you?
I just want to say now that you said that we shouldn't say that like we are traumatized and put ourselves in a role that we are traumatized and that's it. Because once you say that you are that, how are you ever going to get out of that? How are you ever going to be not that?
I even disagree there.
Really?
Yeah, truth needs to be spoken out. I think the problem that most people hold is that they don't recognize that they have trauma. Or it's like in Christianity, like you need to acknowledge that you are a sinner. You like your nature by the ego, by the separation is just usually sin. And if that one does not want that to have true, how can one step into the light if you don't know where the shadow is?
Okay, yeah.
Maybe you change, something else comes to your mind, and I get thrown off my point. But so far, this is what I have discovered in my realizations, that it's very important to be aware that these things that I do, that I feel, and that because of these trivial things, it is just trauma. And trauma is nothing else but I do something and the reaction is not what I feel about it. Because when we get born, we step out of oneness. So we step out of oneness into this separateness here. And in oneness, if I hug you and I feel good about it, there's no question that you feel good about it also. But let's just say my mom crashed her car and has a super bad day, and I come to hug her and then she says, oh, go away. the first reaction would be, especially as a child, when you have not like understood all this, you're like, something with me is wrong. Like she's feeling different than me. You're coming out of oneness into separateness, and then like you're feeling the separateness, but you don't know about it. That maybe even like it just comes to my mind something good to teach a child that sometimes people they feel different, but it's not because of you. It would be a nice thing to say. And that is the first, like, this is already a trauma. Like, if I'm like unsure if when I feel love, if that person feels love again, I will not express love that much. And this keeps happening all the time. And then I'm like, I'm just looking, what does my mom do in this situation? And then I copy it, and then I do it at school and I get laughed at. It's like constant that this is trauma. And this is also completely normal. I think the only thing, if you like, you can be free of trauma if you either get born into an environment where all people are enlightened,
And
receive
loving.
the Holy Spirit, not just loving, but total, like completely. Like I would consider us as loving also, but I still hold a lot of trauma.
But you weren't born in that, though, right? Like
Yeah,
completely loving, no like
yeah.
negative frequencies, negative emotions, or around you.
That's true. Yeah, if one is 100% pure and loving, that would be exactly
That is the goal.
that is exactly the environment that would be needed to grow up completely trauma free. But this world
Yeah.
is, I mean, I wanted to just say is unfortunately not, but I think this is a topic maybe for another time, but it's exactly also why we are here, to make these realizations of ourselves. That's why there are other realms also where one makes maybe more experiences through oneness. But to not get too complex, so how do we get rid of trauma that makes us feel shameful about things? Let's say, because just, I mean, who can, like, if someone can tells me that singing in the car is not fun for him, you must be kidding me, because like it's just fun if you love a song and you know the lyrics. If you don't sing with it, that is definitely a sign just of pure shame. And this is a pity, because the experience could be that rich, but instead you're just sitting like this, and it's like, it's so poor. Yeah, it's this is really that is unfortunate. Yeah, and that's why it's important to first recognize it, what we just said, like recognize that, okay, I feel shame singing in front of other people. And then there's different pathways. I can now look into, okay, try to understand it. Okay, why do I feel shame? Okay, maybe at school I sang, or in front of my mom and the family was there and they laughed, or my mom said it, I should stop it. All this stuff. Or one is aware, and then one just is aware of this shame and this thing, and then you just crack it a little bit open. You just do it from time to time, and then, okay, you feel a little shame. Okay, it doesn't matter. It's just a trauma. And then you do it and you do it. And that in combination, I would say, with also the first thing, because shame, what holds you really back is then the thoughts that come in from the shame.
Yes.
So it's not just the feeling of shame. I can feel a little bit shame. It doesn't matter. I can still do something. But if then the shame, there comes the thought, because my mind
Eats you inside.
is endangered. It's becoming such a distraction that I'm not in the present again, and then I'm not doing what I would love to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it goes all hand in hand. But then, yeah, like this is, I think, the very important part, to acknowledge and reduce shame.
And I also feel like when we are shamed and we are put into these, I don't know, boxes or rigidity or whatever, now that we feel the shame, I think it also develops in us that we have this anger and frustration, and maybe the judgment starts in us too, that we start judging others and we start instilling shame in others. And I want to say this quote because I love it so much. Ram Dass talked about it, is like when you're walking in nature, let's say you see a tree, you see a cat, you see whatever, you don't think, oh, why is this cat like this? Why isn't it black and white? Why is it orange? You don't look at the tree and say, why is its branch like this or like that? You know, you just accept the tree. You just accept the cat. But as soon as it's a human, you're just like, what are they wearing? Or what are they doing? Why are they acting like this?
It's a little bit like a act of resentment, I would say, if one judges another human. It's like, I have been hurt, I have been judged because of this, so I'm gonna do it again.
Yeah.
But because very little people have been hurt by a tree, like you can
That's true.
just watch a tree and it's like, yeah, it's fine, it can do whatever it wants. And yeah, I can quote as the last thing here now, Mahatma Gandhi, be the change you want to see in the world. What you just said, it's a big part also that like if you are light, you're definitely like you're putting other people into the light just by your presence.
That's
I
true.
always I broke my head always like how can I speak to these people? I need to like how can I tell them what I feel and what is right, or how can I make contact with the people in the elevator? What can I say to just make good vibes? But then someone said to me, someone wise, that it's really not about what you say, and like it doesn't need sometimes words. It's just your pure, like it's just your being, like how you feel, how you are, and that should be the focus. If you just want to bring light to the world and to your own world, just do the stuff that we just said because light just feels better.
Light feels better.
It's even out of the ego, you could say. It's the smartest thing to do to just be light. And yeah, and at the same time, you're eliminating one part of shadow that would spread the shadow otherwise.
So let's just sum it up super quickly. Reduce the expectations. So when you go in, if there's something happening, don't try to think about how it's gonna go. Just go into it in present moment.
Practice not
Practice,
thinking,
not practice, not thinking. And that could happen through meditation or through the Headspace app.
which is yeah the same, but
This,
yeah.
yeah. Okay. And lastly, the shame, so that every time you feel the shame, just do it anyway so that you slowly break out of it. And also practice not to judge others so that you can be at a higher frequency and, you know, become the change that you want to see. Anything else?
Amen.
Amen. All right. This was nice. Thank you so much. Bye.